Imagine this. One day you are up to play some good old Space Ninja Simulator to blast things around with ease. To be that big damage boy.
It's gone.
You come to YouTube seeking the most well-packed arsenal, and what do you see?
Saren is one of, if not the best Warframe in the game.
Saren is crazy broken and also always has been.
Quad dip toxin dot? That's just insane.
Okay guys, let's set it once and for all. In the current state of the game, and I can't stress this enough, every Warframe with the right setup is able to pull out crazy damage numbers, and Saren is just one of many weapon platform frames. Yeah, she scales relatively easily into level cap, but who cares about level cap? But level cap is a very niche activity, and even for its only profitable iteration, namely Void Cascade, Saren isn't always a top-tier pick. You may suggest that Saren claims main DPS role in min-max Vitus Essence farm strategies. But again, this is more of an endgame content, and still, she needs multiple buffs from teammates. That's why my criteria for what makes a good Warframe is its ability to provide unique, irreplaceable value. So that you better get my idea. I firmly believe that Chroma, for example, just thanks to his double credit feature is already better than most nukers or gun platforms. However, with all due respect, he won't be on today's list of the best Warframes. Aww. But who will? You all know him well. Additional loot, crowd control, familiar master, pseudo-exalted weaponry. You got this right. This is Khora. As you see here, many frames have some overlapping mechanics and usage scenarios, but what makes Khora really stand out is her versatility and ease of use. First of all, she's arguably the best out of all farming Warframes.
Yeah, but there is Necros with subsumed or gaze.
Well, it's only applicable to solo farming, and while the rates are somewhat similar, I'd better stand in one spot and just press a single button. And of course, in team comps for endless missions, Khora is indisputably the main component so far. The gameplay loop, by the way, stays the same. Strangledome is also often overlooked as a great defensive tool, which it is, along with Frost's Globe and Limbo's Rift. What is more, if you ever dared to craft Cyber, you know that an excavation mission's dome works the best, since beyond keeping dig sites safe, it tackles the notorious lack of power cells.
Nice.
That's it for the farming department. Next up on the menu, we have...
Leave me alone!
Playing Warframe, you just can't ignore those little glowing golden orbs. And Khora again comes in clutch, though the Endo farm team is a bit more engaging, focusing on using Nidus's larva to group enemies into Khora's Strangledome, and slice up the bodies with Slash so there's more pieces for Necros' Desecrate. Well, actually, it's whole nother story. Wrapping up with Khora, I've said earlier, I'm not a fan of big damage, aka overkill builds, but I just can't help mentioning how damn satisfying constant red crits are. She's also a cat mommy.
Bye-bye!
This video is not a standard guide with detailed explanation of each mechanic, just my thoughts on Warframe top lists and stuff, but still, here are some builds I use on a daily basis. Speaking of weapon platforms, I carefully dodged noting Volt, because he's the perfect example of how not to be framed into one narrow specialization. While being widely acknowledged weapon enhancer, he particularly excels in smooth run-and-gun builds, something that other damage powerhouses are struggling with, lacking either in mobility or practicality. I may continue harping about Volt being good on this matter, but it would be kind of a restatement of the first part of the video. More than that, Volt does have decent nuking potential as well. Scaling, though, is not that great, and depends heavily on enemy faction, yet the build's very comfy to use, especially in low-level defense missions or Sanctuary Onslaught. My favorite way to play it is in combination with Capacitance Augment mod. Awesome quality of life upgrade for the whole team. To double down on team-oriented gameplay, consider spamming your speed buff every 5 seconds or so. Not only does it increase the overall time completion of the missions, but also improves parkour experience for each groupmate. Finally, let's not forget about an elephant in a china shop. Like it or not, but Volt has historically been an unmatched pick for Eidolon hunts, and it's unlikely that anything will change anytime soon. And the builds. During this video, I've run into a problem on how to deliver clearly my assessment criteria. I was determined to feature Titania, but unlike the previously mentioned frames, she's not an all-rounder. The signature Razorwing, by a wide margin, overshadows the rest of her kit. The status immunity on the first ability is a solid argument, however the second and the third ones are more of a slot for Helminth. So then what is so unique about Razorwing that this alone makes Titania into the top list? First things first, it's not because of Dex Pixia. Titania's pistols are a nice little extra, but in the current meta of AoE weapons, it ain't that much. I first and foremost mean the unrivaled speed the fairy form provides, paired with gamer-friendly control techniques. The second possible question, why is primarily movement ability rated so high? The answer is simple. Void Floods. Just kidding. Void Fissures. More precisely, the whole spectrum of casual missions like rescues, captures, sabotages, assassinations, and etc.
Hold on, do you really rank Titania as one of the best based solely on its performance in one mission type?
Yes, I do. At any point of your Warframe experience, you'll be doing Void Fissures a lot. And don't get me wrong, you're under no obligation to run relics in any specific way. Aside from that, there are many other speedsters like Nova, Wukong, or Gauss. Nevertheless, zooming through the map as a little pixie would be perhaps the most efficient and certainly the easiest way to crack relics fast. Anyway, not much else to be said here. Let's move on to the builds. Okay, I guess it concludes today's video. I know I've touched upon the sensitive topic and made some hot takes along the way. Would be happy if you share your opinion in the comments. Moreover, 200 thumbs up will make for the second part and the extension of the list. By the way, the last video on Verglas already hit more than 250 likes. Much love to you guys. The promise to spend 10 million Kuva remains in place and the work is in progress. Make sure to subscribe not to miss the greatest Riven roll. See you later with more peak Warframe content.